In spring of 2024, HCC Art Galleries invited 8 artists to reflect on a changing Tampa in a one-day-only public art festival. Now on View brought origami, temporary murals, a mobile DJ cart, and more to 4 Ybor City locations. Max Herman of Ybor City Walking Tours led Tampanians from one stop to the next, starting right here at HCC Ybor's Performing Arts Building.
This really was born out of casual conversations in our office. We were all noticing how quickly things were changing in Tampa. Some things that we were really excited about, some things that made us sad. Thinking about the state of our city and our community, and we thought we might use public art and artwork in general as a mirror or a foil to those changes. So we thought we would invite a bunch of artists to take over for one day in Ybor to do this temporary art installation, so we could kind of hold up a mirror to where we've come from, where we are now, and to start thinking about maybe where we're going.
Today we'll be walking through Ybor City with Max Herman as our guide.
You ready to see some art and learn some fun facts about Ybor's history?
I'm really happy to be a part of this. I am an alum of HCC. I actually had the best 6 years of my life in this college. So I'm very happy to help this place out and walk around here with you guys. But to tell you a little bit about Mr. Ybor City before we begin, first of all, for those of you that don't know, this whole place is named after one man, Señor Vicente Martinez Ybor. He sees 40 acres of swamp that you're standing in, and he has a vision for his own industry town. The first thing he does, he writes to everybody in the cigar industry he's ever had competition with. He says, let's put our differences aside. Come build a brand new factory in my new city. In fact, I'll pay for your factory to be built. Let's make this the next big industry town, and it worked. In just 10 years, the population of Tampa, Florida goes from about 700 total people in 1885 to over 15,000 people in 1895. Ybor City explodes with popularity, and it also happened to happen at a very good time. You see, 1885 was during a major immigration wave in America. For those of you that are history buffs, you might know the Statue of Liberty was dedicated in 1886. So immigrants were coming looking for the American dream. A lot of them were heading to New York City because that's the only place they really heard about. And Mr. Ybor has a brilliant idea. He hires somebody who speaks French, somebody who speaks Italian, somebody who speaks German, somebody who speaks Spanish, sends them all to New York City at the port screaming, if you're looking for work in America, migrate to Ybor City. No matter your language, there's 100% employment available when you arrive. That's a big deal when you come to the new world. People rush down here in droves. Mr. Ybor City eventually becomes the cigar capital of the world. Over 200 factories in this little tiny town. But now today we have a whole new renaissance of life in Ybor City. You'll see a lot of people moving this way to get part of the culture of Ybor. Yes, cigars are still prominent, but HCC itself kind of created a different aspect of Ybor City being almost a college town. In fact, we're going to walk down 7th Avenue in just a little while, which used to be shoemakers and tailors and bakers. You don't see very many of those on 7th Avenue anymore because when HCC was developed in 1971, the kids coming this way didn't really need a shoemaker. They didn't really need a tailor. They didn't need a baker. They wanted pizza places. They wanted tattoo shops and bars. And that's how Ybor City got its notorious nightlife that we have around here, which that's why I'm wearing sunglasses because I was out last night. Anyway, as we walk through here, we're going to experience a lot of the art that HCC has to offer you all. If you'd like to talk to the artist himself, here he is. This wonderful little portrait here is all the different origami of the ecosystem of Tampa, of Florida in general. You'll see alligators, dolphins, fish, rabbits, everything you can think of.
So this is called an interdependent pavilion, and the concept is that we're creating a space to allow the participant to come in and engage with this space of interdependency. As you can see, the pavilion is adorned with many different origami forms and multicolored sort of hues. I decided to choose basically 3 main categories of living animals. Ones that fly in the sky like the birds and the cranes, ones that dwell in the sea, like we have 2 different types of fish, and the earth-dwelling living animals such as the bunny rabbit. So giving some representation to all the animals and living creatures that inhabit and share this space with us. The idea is to come in and take a sort of a moment of Zen and look around and be absorbed into the whole interdependency of the space. I also included some plants, not to forget that plants are very important to our ecosystem. And the string of lights above represents the sort of the universe. As we look up, the lights will be on when the installation is in place, and they represent the galaxies and the stars. That reminds us that also we're just these living beings living on this small planet in a vast galaxy of space.
Let's take a walk over by the Cuban Club and see another gallery right here. So we're going to stop here for just a moment before we go to our next site of artists performing here for HCC. I want to point out this gorgeous building you see before you, El Circuito Cubano, also known as the Cuban Circle. This is the Cuban Club of Ybor City. Because as I mentioned, this was a big melting pot of different cultures that came this way, and everybody got along pretty well in this town. I mean, if you're making money in America, who cares how many languages there are in the streets? But eventually, the immigrants that came this way started longing for the old world they came from. So all of them started building social clubs where they would gather and, speak their language. And then after a long day of speaking broken English around town here, the Cubans would gather in here and only speak their native tongue, using their slang, eating their foods, playing the games they grew up playing with their friends. Every social club had the same amenities. They always had a gymnasium in the basement. When you walk in the front door, that leads you to a ticket booth which has a theater behind it. Because nobody here had a radio in their house. So every song, story, and joke that you learned came from the social club theater stage. They had a cocktail and eating area, they had a gambling area. But on the next floor up where you see the stained glass crest, that was your education area. They would learn English lessons, social skills, things that kind of helped them adapt to America a little bit easier. On the very top floor was their ballroom where they got their birthdays, their weddings, their big events. They got everything I just mentioned to you for about 25 cents a month. And that included with it cradle to grave health care with a doctor inside the gym for 25 cents a month. Not too shabby. Now, a lot of big events have happened at all the social clubs around here, but a lot of you also see this bust on the corner here. That is Jose Marti. Anybody ever heard the name before? Yes, Jose Marti, in case you don't know, is known as the liberator of Cuba. In fact, even after Castro's revolution, because he got them their independence from Spain. And anywhere you go in Latin America, Miami, Key West, Puerto Rico, Cuba especially, but even like Argentina, places like that, you'll see statues, paintings, and dedications to Jose because, well, not only is he beloved in Latin America for his revolutionary work, but the man was an amazing speaker and an even better writer. He wrote a lot of very famous poems, including one that was converted into a very famous song known as Guantanamera. So if any of you have ever heard the song Guantanamera, you've heard the work of Jose Marti. He came to Ybor City in 1891 and drummed up the Cuban Revolution here. Long before Miami was even on the map, this was the cradle of Cuban independence. Jose Marti is responsible for that movement that happened here in Ybor City. In fact, I do a regular history tour, which is about 90 minutes every single day, where we bring you to La Casa de Pedroso, the house of the Pedroso family, where Jose stayed. The Pedrosos are pretty much responsible for saving Jose Marti's life and keeping him safe during his revolutionary work here. They're all heroes on the island, but the biggest hero is the matriarch of the family. Her name was Paulina Pedroso. She convinced everybody, we'll take Jose off the streets. He will continue his revolution from my living room. And she treated Jose like a son. Although there are some people in history that will tell you, even though Paulina was much older than Jose, she was in love with him. And actually, I have some evidence for that. You see, there was an attempt on Jose's life, as you see right here. Some Spaniard tried to poison his food while he was on stage talking at a speech. And after that attempted assassination, Well, Paulina designated her husband Roberto to be Jose's food tester. So she might have had some ideas of her own. Anyway, we'll see another social club along this tour here. In fact, I do want to say one more thing about this one. It's notoriously haunted for my fans of the paranormal. In fact, we do a ghost tour at night, every night at 8 p.m. We have a key to this building. We bring people in, we lock them in there, and, well, I'll tell you, if I've ever been in a haunted building, it's this one right here. It was named by the Travel Channel the 4th most haunted building in America. Top 5 in the entire United States. Over 150 ghosts have been confirmed in that building, and I've seen some with my own 2 eyes. But that's for another subject. Let's go see some art. Come on, right this way.
So I decided to apply to Nylon View because I was already doing workshops in the community, and I wanted to hopefully bring that to an even larger audience with HCC Art Galleries. We basically hosted 3 workshops in different parts of Tampa, Seminole Heights area, West Tampa, and Ybor City. We were stitching squares, talking about different histories around Tampa. It could be either anecdotal history, or it could be like an actual fact. Like one of them is that USF used to be a military base, which a lot of people actually don't know that fact. So we took the opportunity to discuss the history while we were stitching, and now today we're going to be stitching it all together into a larger art piece, an art quilt, if you will. So that's what we're doing today. These are some of the pieces. I have a couple pieces on the board here right now that I'll start stitching together in just a couple minutes. But here are some other squares that were made. So UT Plant Hall is an Orientalist fantasy. So that was actually talking about how the University of Tampa, before it was the University of Tampa, used the architecture from overseas to build their halls. The Cuban sandwich was born in Ybor. This one's about casitas, or the prefabricated homes that started in Ybor City. And this is one that's an example of an anecdotal one. This is somebody who lived in Tampa their whole life, and they said, I watch the new houses by mine strip history. So basically talking about gentrification and how so many of these old homes that were built maybe at the beginning of the 20th century are now being stripped down and replaced with brand new homes, and they're being built quickly and then sold at high prices. So those are just a few examples, but there's a lot of different variety here about all different parts of Tampa. And it was a really great opportunity for not just me, but the participants to learn more about the place that we live.
What do you call this wonderful booth? I've been calling it a mobile DJ booth, I think, but what have you called it?
That's the concept.
Okay.
I call it the DOCA AV card, so Department of Contemporary Art, Campus Florida Audiovisual card. Or the AV can stand for audiovisual or auxiliary venue. So like an additional space for this type of performance. DJing for most of the event is Tika Tour. I met Tika Tour about a year ago and loved their style of DJing. So really super excited that I was able to make it here today. And also I had a little pop-up performance by From the Three. Just awesome dudes. Also met them a couple months ago. They have a ton of music, and I wanted to see them use the cart. I had a feeling that a DJ was possible. I didn't know about performing, so I wanted to also get all the prototype performance elements out of the way.
I'm watching American football and seeing the Neverland. I listen to whatever and I watch the lever flip. I know you see it, but I'm not John. I'm still a block, but you at the bus stop. I was cooling in a lemon drop on a crush block.
See you guys later. Let me actually stop you guys here for 1 second to point out this building. This is Mr. Ybor's Cigar Factory. Everything you see about this building is original from the year 1886, except for two things. The first thing is the sign on the front that says Church of Scientology. That's new. They purchased the building in 2010, and they actually did a lot to refurbish it, so you can't complain about that. The other thing that's not original about the building are the iron stairs in the front of it. Those are actually replica stairs. The original iron stairs were taken apart piece by piece. They were shipped over to Cuba. They were rebuilt in a big museum in Havana, and I'll tell you why if you take my history tour, which is every day at 11. You know I got to cross the road a little bit here. Anyway, this beautiful building is one of the many cigar factories, and this was the biggest cigar factory in Ybor City. In fact, this is only 1/3 of it. He covered the entire city block with his factory. I'd love to show you off a little bit more, but we have a schedule. Let's go see Hotel Hyatt. Right this way, everybody. Come on in.
I applied to Now on View because I was impressed with the fiscal support that they offer to bring artists and their work to the community. And I also really was like, well, I have a bunch of work, and some of it I haven't shown in Tampa yet, and I would like to show it here, even if it is very briefly, but it's just nice to have a public interaction with it. So this piece, I always grew up around like milkweed plants, so it attracts a lot of monarch butterflies. And I would just like really watch the caterpillar to cocoon or chrysalis and butterfly kind of stage, and every year I would like maybe adopt one and just like raise it like in the porch or something. So, but it was like I was visiting my family in like November, December, and I felt like in a really low place in my life at that point. For some reason, I don't really know, well, I kind of knew why, but I was just like looking at the chrysalis and I was like, this thing is so beautiful, and it's like, it's going to be something else like that it doesn't even know, or maybe it does know like what it's going to be, but like, it's going to be amazing, and it's just like a transitory kind of like waiting period right now. So I really felt like I was in that kind of stage of my life, and so it just really resonated right then. And I was like, I need to make this right now. Like this is just like what resonates with this. Is like I just have a very intuitive practice, and I just kind of like whatever my instincts is, like whatever I like need to make, like to support me emotionally or something like that. Like I'm gonna make it because
I really loved the prompt of exploring Tampa's past, present, and future, because as a florist and a farmer, it is often on my mind thinking about like who is Tampa. Like I feel like so many people want us to be like Miami or something, and so just trying to go deeper into like the Florida natives and looking at the future of what we can grow here and bringing it all together in a meaningful way was really appealing to me. Starry Rosin paint. Starry Rosin. These come from Ancient Urban Farm. What about you? Alright. Then thinking about the present. So presently, as a florist, 80% of the cut flowers in the U.S. and in Tampa are flown in from overseas, mostly Colombia and Ecuador. So to represent that aspect, I have some carnations here, which have a beautiful clove scent, and some asters. So one or both, starting with you and a little further. Alright, and now we're my French in the future. So as a girl, I'm thinking about climate change. You know, we're like 5 degrees warmer than usual this past month. So I'm really feeling it. We have some drought and heat cauliflowers here. We have some Rebecca, like Susan, a lot of zinnia, and some golden Alright. Yeah, this is your mic garden. This is zinnia. There you go. And my friends, you all
all can imagine your wedding, your birthday, your big event in this big, beautiful room. First of all, the acoustics, not bad, but also the amazing art and the space they have themselves. Plus, I love that they took some of the old building itself and kept it around with the brick, but my favorite part of this is the meeting area right this way. This was actually formerly known as Los Novedades, one of the oldest restaurants before the Columbia was even here. Look at this beautiful building, huh? You know, there's a saying of they don't make them like they used to. This is a pretty darn good example. I mean, this building has been here for over 100 years, stood the test of time, and I know it looks like it needs a little elbow grease, but I kind of like that. And I love the old stained glass still staying strong. Some of you might remember this place as many different things, but it was Los Novedades for many, many years. A lot of people will even say it rivaled the Columbia to be even better than the Columbia. Now, the people that ran it actually had some connections with some of the underbelly of Ybor City, but that's a whole other tour we can talk about another time. Let's see if this will open up. If so, let's continue over to the press. Now, while we wait for the light to change, I'll tell you a little bit about 7th Avenue. 7th Avenue is Ybor City's version of Broadway. Or maybe Bourbon Street. Yeah, 7th Avenue, it was actually the last part to come together in Ybor City because the last group of immigrants that came to Ybor, Romanian Jewish immigrants that first settled in New Orleans. That's why it even kind of looks like the French Quarter. They call this the Latin Quarter. You see, those Romanian Jews left, you know, anti-Semitism and conscription to the armies, things like that. They came through the port of New Orleans. They became shoemakers, tailors, and bakers. And then they thought, well, if we go across the Gulf of Mexico to that brand new town, we'll be the only shoemaker in town. And that's why 7th Avenue, well, they built it where they'd work below it and live right above it. So when you walk down 7th, you'll see names like Steinberg, Adolf Katz, Argentar, different Romanian Jews that built this town. So let's go this way while the light has changed. Everybody, this big brick building you're in front of right now is the Spanish social club El Centro Español. This originally was built in the year 1892. A fire destroyed most of it in 1908. It was rebuilt in 1912, and it's been this way ever since. Because Ybor City is one of only 3 National Historic Landmark Districts in the entire state of Florida. And that designation means that A, we had a big impact on American history, but B, any building that's historic, like the social clubs, has to stay preserved exactly as it was when it was built. This was the first one that was put together here, as I mentioned, for the Spaniards. We saw the Cuban one, and up the street on 7th Avenue and 18th is the Italian one. There's even a German one on Nebraska. Now today it's a clinic. But these beautiful buildings, they were a place where, like I said, you could feel like you're in the old world, even though you're in a whole new one. Today there's a great restaurant in here called the 10 Rooms, which also has an art exhibit in here if you want to check it out. Their cafe is open in the morning, at nighttime from 5 to 10. I mean, luxurious food. I'm talking they're going for a Michelin star around here. But we'll continue through Central Ybor here, and you'll see Mr. Ybor statue. Make sure you wave to him as you go by and say thank you for bringing the whole town together, and we'll head to the Crest Building. Forget about LaFrance. As we walk by it, don't forget about LaFrance, the best garments in town. They know. They're open at noon. All right, everybody, if you'll come in, you're going to head to the 2nd floor. I suggest the stairs, but there is an elevator if you'd like. Head on up to the 2nd floor. You see some performing arts. Galleries are open. Over 20 galleries and or 20 studios and 9 galleries in this place. Come on in.
I was doing some research about historically black neighborhoods, and I learned about Dobyville, which was a really thriving black neighborhood in the 60s that had a lot of images of, like, there was Sunday school, there was like all of these cute things. But when, just with development of Tampa, this neighborhood was really just kind of pushed out, and like the last glow was like the building of the Selman Expressway. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of think about, these highways come in and like development comes in and like how communities of color are kind of affected by that. And then at the end, you'll see like the logo of the Selman Expressway logo, and you have this character kind of like representing Dobyville, basically, as this, this black girl or woman who's kind of reminiscent of those Sunday school children in a lot of the documentary images.
So we have a snapshot of the underground system of 2 trees with the mycelium system. So the mycelium system is like a fungal network that connects trees. It shares resources and nutrients with each other. And trees, it's hypothesized that they have this understanding of kind of looking out for each other, for the benefit of each other. So if someone's in danger or someone needs resources, the mycelium system and trees will kind of facilitate that so that everybody is doing good, doing okay. Because if your neighbor's doing good, then it benefits the greater whole. So then to the right, we have a tree that is in a box, but coming out of a box because it's been transplanted into this new ecosystem. So it's kind of about making connections with these new people that are coming in and meeting them where they are, and also people that are boxed in, moving in, coming out of that box and creating a new ecosystem together.
All right, so tell me why you applied to Now on View.
Well, I responded to the call because I've been wanting to do a social practice piece about waterways and culture that influence Tampa Bay's food scene. But I mean, a lot of the project was talking to chefs and culinary artists about how long they've been in the Tampa Bay region and what their parents cooked them and what they sort of incorporated into different dishes, and how eclectic this food scene is and how unique. And also why people move here to Tampa Bay because of its uniqueness. And a lot of the conversations we talked about how some of that's being lost. A lot of people move here for this sort of unique cultural scene that is Ybor, that is the Tampa Bay region, that is St. Pete, and how we celebrate that and need to keep it, go to like mom and pop restaurants. I think we do that. I mean, Tampa Bay is it's a food place. So yeah, I just like that's the thing that resonates with me.
Yeah,
is places and why they are what makes them what they are, and food for me is one of those things.
All right, and how did you take kind of that experience and turn it into this amazing projection? Is it like a video diary, or?
It kind of is. So, I mean, I documented all of the waterways, rivers, springs, the bay, the ocean. I took footage outside of boats that were fishing, and then some of the video was actually influenced by the collaboration with the dancers. And so we talked about what might work with their what they were thinking about. I mean, they're actually interpreting waterways and foodways within their dance right now.